Hey guys, and welcome to the interviews with Oluchi. How you doing? This week we have Lerato Lefafa, who is a communication specialist with more than 10 years of experience. She is also a neurolinguistic programming practitioner and master practitioner. She is also the founder and skincare formulator for Mokgatso Organics, as well as a content creator on IG. I'm very excited to have her. Welcome, Lerato.
Hi, Lerato. Thank you for joining the 1 year celebrations for Art Before We. I'm so grateful that you could join me today to do 5 questions on how to be better as human beings. The first that I actually wanted to talk about recently, everybody's favorite Beyonce has just turned 40. And we in our 30s, they call the dirty 30s, but I think that the 20s are more dirty than the 30s.
Yeah.
And she actually spoke about something that we never talk about, which is the conditioning that we get about the art of growing up. So she basically said that she's in her 40s and all her life she was made to believe that the older you get, the less valuable you are to society, especially if you're a woman, and even worse if you're a Black woman. So I wanted to find out from you, as a lady who's in her early 30s, what sort of societal conditioning or any conditioning in general that you believe to be true in your 20s that you like, oh my God, what did I even believe that now that you're in your 30s?
Yeah, you're very right by saying your 20s are really dirty. Life forces you to learn some shit.
Exactly.
The 30s are where it's at because you're more rooted in yourself as you grow older. And I agree with Beyonce's statement that some societal norms must be done away with, So for me, the one that stands out, I've let go of a lot of things, people and situations included, but the one that has led to me having less anxiety in life, because I used to wake up crying and go to sleep crying, is letting go of control. You can't be on top of everything. You're human. And the thing with life is that it throws a lot of challenges your way, and you've just got to push forward. So if you try and always have or stick to your plans to the T, then you'll be miserable when something goes wrong, which it always does. And for me, it was funny because I have done activations, I've been in the eventing business, and no matter how much you plan, something always went wrong. So I could understand that in a business context. But when it came to my personal life, I wanted everything to be certain. I wanted to be like, if I do 1, 2, 3, this outcome is guaranteed. And that drove me crazy. So letting go of control has really been the best thing for me in the last year or two. Yeah.
I'm so happy that you spoke about that, because that's what I have to learn as an entrepreneur, that you really are not responsible for the outcome. You can put out good vibes, good products, good content, and it will not work. And like you said, that was the cause of my anxiety as well, because I was like, if I see it in my head, it has to come out exactly the same. If it doesn't, then it's like a bad thing. So I'm so happy that you brought that up, because really it's about the ability to let go. And which literally what the next question is about, which speaks about, I wrote Art Before We initially as a tool to sort of help people to overcome trauma and conditioning. And later on, I then found out that that is self-mastery, exactly like you said, the art of letting go and trusting the process and aligning with your highest form and letting anything go that doesn't allow you to be able to be that. So this is a 2-part question. I wanted then to find out from you, how do you practice self-mastery? Well, the first question is, how do you define self-mastery for yourself? Because for me, it's just letting go, a lot of letting go, a lot of letting go.
So speaking to your definition of self-mastery, before I get into my own, I just want to add that letting chaos happen is so okay, because then you handle it as it comes, and there's no confusion or friction or tension within yourself when you let things be. So I love that for you. It's a very important lesson to learn. No, like, it's very important. Like, the more you just let life happen, changes happen, the more you'll enjoy this life, because it becomes smoother. You don't try and preempt things. You don't try to attach expectations where there should be none. Obviously, when you plan, you have an idea of how things should turn out. Like, have a plan, do what you can, and let things just sort themselves out, you know? So my definition of self-mastery would be to know that all the answers are within yourself, like within you, and that nobody else, not your father, not your mother, not your grandma, not your friends, not your boss, can create the type of life that you desire. And you said part 2 is what?
And how do you practice that?
I practice that.
No one's responsible for you. How do you then take charge and be responsible for yourself?
So let's see. I practice, or try to practice, that every day by choosing to trust myself and relying on intuition, right? And that basically means that I'm led by instinct. And that opens me up to my greater potential, or greatest potential rather. And I say this because I see myself letting go of fear a bit more, trying new things and taking chances, exploring the world, and just seeking my own truth. Like, I'm always out to find my own truth, and that's very liberating, and that's how I feel fulfilled in life. But just trusting myself and believing that wherever or whenever gut feel leads me, it's the right place. Like, I quit my job because I was led by gut feel. Like, I was not okay, you know, and it was the scariest thing ever, because you're letting go of stability. You're letting go of stability, and you can't really foresee the future or forecast what's going to happen after that. So that was pretty scary. But now, like, it has allowed me to allow myself to take more leaps. And I'm opening doors that I never thought I'd open, and on my own terms. So I love it for myself.
Okay. I love that. I definitely love that so much. And I wanted to write down this question because a lot of what you speak about has to do with the process, but I have a question later on about just allowing the process to process itself. Okay. So you have recently launched a successful online business. It's an organic skincare as well as a hair care line. Congratulations. If you guys do not believe in our products, but on my skin actually talks about how great they are. You're also very successful. Yes. You're also very successful lifestyle and travel influencer. And you're very big on social media. You do other things. I wasn't aware that you actually were a corporate communication specialist for like more than 10 years. You literally just spoke about quitting your job now. So that must have been very, very hard. And you're also a Neurolinguistic program master practitioner. I hope I say that right, because I've been practicing it a lot. Alluding to one of your other many talents, which is that Neurolinguistic program master practitioner. I was on Twitter one day and I saw someone who says that they've read a lot of self-help books, but really the change came when they started reading psychology books about how the mind functions and how it works, and they were able to make a change. So I didn't know this at the time, but I tried to have my book as a combination where you get psychology tool as well as it's a self-help book as well. I wanted to find out from you, how true is a statement about the fact that we really don't need to be reading a lot of self-help books? We need to understand how our mind works and how it functions so that we're able to aid it by creating new patterns. And I also wanted to find out from you, what techniques do you employ to train your brain for success? And feel free to give examples about yourself.
Okay, so yeah, I'm in full agreement with that statement that the mind is where it's at. Like for me, there's this cliche saying where they say it all starts and ends with the mind, right? And for me, if you don't have a positive mindset and you're not confident in your capabilities or in who you are, then that's like blocking yourself. It's a form of self-sabotage or undermining yourself, you know? So when you get the mind right, whether you go to therapy or you read self-help books or you use self-development tools, I feel like that's in the right step, because the more you understand how your mind works or how you register information or what you're triggered by, the more you can be a better person to yourself, first and foremost, and to other people. So the tools I employ or the techniques that I employ, because I don't think I have it all figured out, even though I have a neurolinguistic programming qualification. First one that I believe in is whenever you're interacting or engaging with people in real life or wherever, like, and you're triggered or just under G, try and see things from your own perspective, the person you're engaging with or the people you're engaging with, and then from a total complete stranger's perspective. Then that helps you to expand your perspective, you know, and always tap into things that allow you to be in the mindset of expanding your perspective. Another tool that I use is whenever I have important decisions to make, like a breakup or whatever, break up with a friend or break up in a relationship or break up
whatever. This
whatever.
break up is like an HR task. Just put into HR.
It's a task because there's attachment. There's emotional attachment.
Yeah, that's
people make plans together, whether you're friends, your lovers, your colleagues, you know. Whenever I have important decisions to make, and a breakup is an easy one to make because everyone can relate on some other level.
True.
I take a piece of pen and paper, I draw a column, pros on one side, cons on the other side, and I weigh them against each other. And when you can see things written down like this, it becomes clear which part to take, you know. So that's one technique that I really love, because sometimes you try and figure things out in your head without seeing them for what they are, or your emotions get in the way, and it becomes a very confusing situation. So when it's on paper, it's point blank, like it's raw, it's factual. It's things you like and don't like. Yeah, it's things you like or don't like. So that's a very important technique for me. And then what else? No, I think I'll stop there, because then I'll be lying.
Yeah.
But those two are very important.
On the first part of the question, you spoke about understanding yourself, the next person, and blind spots. As a person, it's hard for you to tell which are your blind spots. What are some of the easiest ways in which you can sort of like find your blind spots as a human being?
Relay the story to someone who's neutral.
Yeah.
Like if you struggle with seeing your blind spots, explain the situation to a person you trust or a person who can be very objective. Explain your story, explain what the next person did, and get feedback, because sometimes we don't get that feedback and then we make our own conclusions. Another thing is, why not talk it out with the next person, like, and don't say you are, don't project. Be like, in the situation, I felt like, I feel like still, what was your take on it? And you'll see that people are more open to talking things out or being transparent and open when you don't attack them, you know? And when you give them an opportunity to like hear you out, they don't have to be in agreement with what you're saying, but like a person can then respect your feelings or thoughts when you don't project. And that's a very important learning that I've had in life. I know I'm not always right. and I know to give people opportunities to show up. And once a person or a situation invalidates my thoughts or feelings deliberately, then I know to let go. But when a person can respect it and tell me their perspective, then there's something to work on, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that also takes like a lot of self-awareness, because for a lot of people, it's hard to take criticism. They might view that as the person is not on my side, or they're taking sides onto another person.
Self-awareness is key. Self-awareness is key. And people must always remember that they're not only light, you know, we all have dark bits.
Exactly.
It's tough to be like, yeah, no, it flop sometimes. Like, we all have that. Nobody is perfect, guys. Nobody's perfect. Nobody's perfect. And the sooner you accept that, the more you're able to work on it and try.
Yeah.
Try be better. Try do better. You know, so yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely. Thank you so much for that. And the second last question is a question that I like talking about a lot personally, because I feel like a lot of people do not speak about the process enough, which we touched on it earlier on, about flowing with life and knowing that it's not going to happen when you want it to happen, and sometimes it's not going to happen as you imagine it to happen. An example I always give about me is the fact that I've been writing since I was a child, and then I went over to blogs. I didn't know I was going to be an author, but I knew I wanted to move in the direction of teaching and education. And I always like making the example about Rick Voss, because I think he's the only rapper that tried to rap for like more than a decade and selling 0 albums, and ultimately he then became who he saw himself as. And for you as a successful entrepreneur, what can you tell us about the process?
So with the process, I just want to touch on my background, because nothing happened overnight. It's like in high school, like matric, you know, when you had to choose your degree and whatever for uni. Yeah. I wasn't too concerned with what I studied. I knew I'm a great communicator, and I knew I had to do something in business because I had already majored in something in high school, because I went to an art school, and they had the same kind of format as they did in university, where you majored in something and then the normal curriculum followed. So I knew something businessy, something to do with communication. That wasn't the issue. My issue was I did not want to work for the next person. And my plan out of high school was to work for 2-3 years, learn what I needed to learn, and then go off on my own. Did that not take over a decade, babe? Only quit my job.
Don't worry about it.
I quit my job now in December. It took over a decade for me to learn my lessons that would allow me to stand on my own. So if I were to advise anyone on sticking to the plan, I'd say have a vision that feeds your soul, because it starts there. If it doesn't feed your soul, you won't be consistent. And then research. And research is asking a person who's doing what you want to do questions. It's Google. It's reading up on the subject matter that has to do with the industry you want to work in. You know, it's like studying material, immersing yourself in that world and learning what you have to learn, and not putting a deadline on it, because life is a consistent learning platform. And the other thing is take small steps every day, which speaks to the research bit, but like there are more steps you can do, plan, do whatever, but like take small steps every day towards your goals, you know? And you'll see sooner or later you'll reach them. And then another thing that doesn't have to do with religion or whatever, because I'm not a very religious person, but I'm spiritual. And I find that clarity comes from praying and or meditating. Sit with yourself, listen to your thoughts, review your life, like review the steps that you've taken and where you can tweak and adjust to get closer to your goals, you know. And then the last bit is just fuck shit up.
Yeah.
Fuck shit up.
I was gonna be like, you can over plan, you can over strategize, but really the art is in the doing and
In the doing
that you spoke about earlier, because I also was like, by the time I'm 30, I'm gonna be a rich person.
Girl.
Not look at me checking into the plantation right now.
Girl.
So it's about that.
Right?
But I understand that. But also,
be kind to yourself in the process. Hey, sorry.
Exactly.
No, you were saying.
I was saying, I love that, being kind. I was gonna say another thing that we often take out, which is, I think, goes back to that question about, you can read enough self-help books about doing all of these things, but it's within the behavior, because you need to do a lot of emotional maintenance, maintaining the positivity, making sure that the negativity doesn't come in. What more can you tell us about the emotional intelligence aspect of following through with a dream or a goal or a direction? Because a lot of the pain doesn't come from getting a declined email. It actually comes from, how do you feel about someone saying no?
That's the thing though, right? No one can, like, everyone can say no, but like, does your vision speak to who you are or align with what you want? If you believe it, like, everyone is always going to say no, or most people are always going to say no because they don't understand it to the extent that you understand it. So your job is to keep at it and make the adjustments that will allow other people to buy into whatever you're selling. Like, for as long as you know yourself and you do the things that you need to do, someone will eventually give you a yes, you know? So emotional intelligence has to do with understanding that sometimes people won't get you, and that is fine. For as long as you get yourself, you'll make headway, you know? So and yeses comes from here first before you can externalize it. So emotional intelligence has to do with knowing that not everyone is for you, not everything is for you, and what is for you will eventually find you. But you must be busy doing something, putting in the effort for it to find you. You know?
Yeah.
What's for you will always find you. I'm a big believer in that.
Yeah. Me too. But I'm learning now with all the information that you've given me to just trust the flow of the process. It's called CoCreation.
Scary.
Girl, please, I've been in so many bathtubs this year, crying myself to, I don't know what, because I was like, God, it's not happening right now. But then, because I know that you have to crack until the window cracks open. You cry for 2 days, and then you like wake up and be like, okay, we're gonna try again.
Yes.
And then something worse happens, and then you're back into that bathtub crying yourself. So I always like talking about the process, especially coming from people like you who are doers, who have been doing. I mean, people take it for granted surviving in corporate in South Africa. That on its own is like a feat.
How?
If you manage to do it, and then on top of that, then you also rope in your dreams about being an influencer, being an entrepreneur, doing the human behavior. So you really are truly an inspiration to me. And
thank you so much.
Would not forget last year when I was doing the promo run, and I gave you the book, and you bought 4. At that time, really no one has like bought the book or actually asked about the pricing of the book or anything like that. But just by you literally inquiring and buying the book for other people, I was like, okay, then people want to hear my shit. Then that means then that means that there are more people who are gonna want to do that. And thank you for planting that seed in my life and giving me the positivity to know that it's not bad. It could be something if I focus on the focus, and I've been focused on the focus. I mean, we're on the 1 year anniversary month, and
I'm proud of you.
Thank you
I'm
so
proud
much,
of you.
Queen.
I want to give you background into why I made the decision to like buy your books. I told you it took me how long to read your book? It took me less than half a day. Yeah. Like it took me, like I read it and I kept on reading it because it was an easy book to digest, right?
Yeah.
And I loved it because I came out of it feeling more solid as a human.
Yeah.
And also I got to understand you a bit better. Wait, I was like, Banga, actually, we're the same person. I'm like, oh my gosh. So it was twofold. I was like, I feel understood. It was so relatable. And also it made me review certain things about myself, you know?
Yeah.
So I'm very proud of you for taking that leap. Like one thing with me, I don't operate on the whole Black woman, female thing.
Yeah.
I buy into people. And for as long as you're trying to help the next person or spread the light, then I'm all in. Like no questions asked. Like we didn't even discuss it. I was like, this book needs to get into some hands.
Yeah.
Done deal. And that's my thing in life.
Yeah. Thank you. And
I'm proud of you and well done.
I'll never forget that at all. Thank you so much. And we've got 5 minutes before my computer reboots. I wanted to find out, what did you learn from the book that you would like other people to know about? And also any closing remarks that you might have.
So your book reminded me to dig deep into my range of emotions and not just the good ones.
Yeah.
Or the positive ones. So processing everything about myself, light and dark, and like learning to value the lessons in life, like for my development. So yeah, thank you for that. Like, I'm proud of you, and you're doing the Lord's work. I don't know if you believe in God, but you're doing the work.
Yeah, no, I do. I always tell people that I never wanted to write the book. I'm like you, very private, don't want people to know what the F is going on in my life. But I've realized that we create communities, and oftentimes the stories we're told not to tell have a capability of helping other people more than the ones we are told to tell. So I do this, and I was like, you know what? Even now, with just the challenges of being an entrepreneur, I really could feel another book brewing, because I'm like, you know what? I have to go through this and put it back to the universe. That's how we create and recreate and allow ourselves to evolve. So thank you so much for being part of the process. I don't want it to shut down.
A pleasure.
I shut it down. Thank you so much, Queen. Is there anything that you want to say? You can promote your companies or anything like that before you go.
No, I'm not going to promote anything. But Mokgatso's out there, Mokgatso Organics.
Yes. And it's great, guys. It's great. You can see.
Glow Queen.
Yes.
My parting words, right, are to remind or tell people that they are important as they are. Otherwise, they wouldn't be born. Do you know how complex our vital organs are in how they work? That was not a mistake. So if you have a life, you are important. Use the time that you have to fuck shit up. Yeah. And like, just bet on yourself. Yeah. Scared, not scared, just do it. Bet on yourself. Everything else is secondary. Like when you get into that coffin 6 feet deep, be like, yeah, no, I lived.
I did.
And you're like, yeah, be like, I lived. Yeah. Like I lived. And I lived my way, you know? So yeah, those are my parting words.
All right. Thank you so much, Queen. I will tag all your social medias below. And thank you so much for doing this interview with me. I really, really appreciate it. I appreciate the work that you're doing. And I appreciate the positivity that you give us as Black women. And most importantly, as humans in this life. Hope you have a fantastic day.
You too. I appreciate you.
Thank you, Queen. Bye.
Bye.
Yeah. Oh, I'm so excited.